Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You too. How you doing, Giovanni? Do you go by
I'm,
Gio or Giovanni?
you know what, for me, it doesn't matter. I go by Gio. You can call me
Okay.
Gio. It's a lot
Okay.
easier than Giovanni. Like, it's
Okay.
like a lot of syllables, but honestly, I don't care.
Okay. I have a couple family members named the same, a couple of Giovannas as well, but they all go by Gio. So
Uh,
that's why
it's
I
just
asked.
easier, you know?
It's not when you have like three or four family members with the same name and the same nicknames, basically. But that's cool. So it's really nice to meet you. Why don't you introduce everyone? Tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Giovannie Espiritu. Primarily I started acting and
Okay.
then I got into acting coaching. And because I look really young, my specialty is kids and teens because adults don't trust my face. And then when I moved to LA about, I think it's been 4 years now,
Mhm.
I was upset, to say the least, about how little the opportunities were for not only actors but like females in general. And I was like, I need to be on the creation side of it and help create
Mhm.
opportunities not only for myself but for like my friends and my
Mhm.
other, like creative peoples in my life. So
Mhm.
so I started getting into filmmaking more, more in depth. I don't really consider myself like a super amazing filmmaker, but it's something.
Mhm.
you know?
I've noticed that's pretty much a norm with a lot of women that I've met and that have started in this industry and just didn't like the typecasting.
Yeah.
The If it wasn't typecasting, then there was no roles at all.
Yeah.
And decided like I'm just gonna do this, for myself, create content for myself and others that are going through the same thing. So it's been a norm in this industry for sure.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
also having to deal with like the biases in the industry and dealing with people on sets and not being taken seriously too. It's
Hmm.
just like, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, and that's a sad truth that I hope that I've noticed there's been changes when it comes to that, little by little, not
Yeah.
much, but I do notice. I mean, right now we're all in the same boat right now, but I did notice there was some change, a wave of change going on, and I wouldn't say I wouldn't say the Me Too movement was the cause of that, but I think it sparked more, I guess, more
Visibility.
awareness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally,
you know,
totally.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like we needed something, and unfortunately, that was it. And hopefully, it's not a phase.
Yeah,
You
I hope
know,
so too. I
you
mean,
know.
I started in the industry in the Bay Area, and I
Hmm.
think 2003, 2004. So I didn't know the depths of how bad it was, like
Hmm.
because you're in a little sheltered area. And honestly, my first director in my first SAG uh, show was a woman, and it was
Mm.
Leslie Linka Glatter. And so I came into the industry thinking that it was normal. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I did, and then like the series that I did up in the Bay Area called Dyke Central, which is on Amazon, was totally helmed and created by Florencia Manaville, who you should interview too because she's an amazing filmmaker.
Okay.
So like I kind of grew up in the Bay Area, like thinking that it wasn't as bad as people said it was. And then when I got down here, I was like, oh, shoot,
Hmm.
it is real bad. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, I
Hmm.
thought maybe it was just like isolated incidents of like sexism in the Bay Area because I didn't know enough. And then
Hmm.
down here, it's just like rampant. It's so rampant.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous
Yeah.
rampant. Yeah.
It really is, and it's interesting because, like you mentioned, there's no there's no levels of it. Like only if you reach like the top archy of it, if you will. Like the people, the producers running the shows are the ones that are doing it. I've noticed it in crew members.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's one of those things. Like I've had issues with friends that I'm no longer friends with because they used to, and they were female, would make excuses for it, like, oh, it's okay, like I'm getting a gig because of this person, so I have to
Mm.
put up with it. And I'm like, you don't, though. And the argument was always, it's a small circle, like they talk, and I'm like, so go to another circle.
I
you
totally
know
get that. Yeah, no, but I get it, and I see both sides of it because I
Mm-hmm.
get how you know, it's disappointing because there is that people talk thing, and people
Mm-hmm.
need a job and they want to
Mm-hmm.
feel safe with people that they're with, but
Mm-hmm.
also it's like, can we search out opportunities where we can make the crew, not just the cast, but the crew also more diverse, not only
Mm-hmm.
like with, gender, but also ethnicity, like,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know. Like, I don't know what the solution is at this point, because I
Right.
also get the fact that, this business is weird, and there's a lot
Right.
of people that are like flaky, and you want
Yeah.
to, you
Well,
want to hang with the crew that you can trust. You know
and
what
that's the
I
thing
mean?
too. Exactly. And you kind of get into those crews that you can trust, but
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you close yourself off. You don't
Yeah.
allow yourself to spread out, and it's either fear or whatever the reason is.
Yeah.
You don't expand because you feel like you can't trust anyone else except for this crew. And then sometimes you become so comfortable that it becomes almost family like,
Totally. And then the
where
whole nepotism happens where I get
nepotism,
it.
the pay, you get stuck on a certain pay where you're thinking like, they're helping me out, I'm getting some pay, but it's
I
not
feel
even
that all the
remotely close.
time. I feel that all, and I don't know how to stop it. And I think it's also because we've been socialized to be so polite and so likable
Mm-hmm.
and so like, you don't want to cause a fuss. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's something that I still to this day have such a hard time like being like, you know what, I am done working for this amount. Like it was like
Mm-hmm.
intern level
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I am worth more than that. And it feels even scary to even say that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, because it's like, oh, are they going to think that you're too difficult now?
Right.
And so,
And that's the sad part, is that you start putting that pressure on yourself
yeah,
instead of uplifting yourself and thinking like, I don't care what they think, like I need to find more opportunity, find,
or
you know,
create them.
exactly, or create them. And
Hmm.
I don't think, yeah, I don't want to downplay, because I have a pretty good group of people that I'm working with, but the
Yeah,
difference is like I have different sets of people that I'm
yeah.
working with. So I'm not working with the same group. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Like
I
you're
have,
diversifying, which is
exactly.
great.
And I'm trying to expand that, and I'm doing different things, and I let them know this is what I'm doing. So I don't want them to think, like basically, I write and direct, but
Right.
I also first AD. So I do that to make my money that's more
Yes.
consistent, right?
Yeah,
Because
totally.
writing and directing is different, because you have to sell yourself. It's a product you're selling.
Yeah,
Where
totally.
if you're a first AD, you're
You're
going
part
for
of the
that
machine.
interview.
You're part of
You're
the cog. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. So when I talk to people, they ask me like, oh, what is it that you want to do? And I do the same to other people. And I'm like, oh, I want to write and direct. Like that's my goal, and this is what I've done. But I don't want to disrespect the writer or director of this project. But just know
Yes.
that's in the future. That's what I want to
Yes.
do. Because I get a lot of times where they're like, oh, I want to hire you back. You were a great first AD. And I'm like, awesome. And
That's
then
great.
that's great. Yeah, it's more job, right? And then
Yes.
I get those producers that say, I didn't know you also directed. Like, do you mind if we talk to you on a project that we have for, I'm
That's
like,
great.
and that's how I think people should approach it. Because I've
Yeah.
noticed that a lot of people get closed off. They get so into this one little tiny circle.
They get pigeonholed.
They
Oh.
do, and they don't realize that they're doing it to themselves, because they're
Mhm.
afraid. They're like, I, I, I'm already made myself a part of this family or friends or
And
peeps
this
or
is the
whatever they
only
want to
way that
call
they
themselves.
see me
They
as.
only see me as, and I'm supportive of them, and they value me, and I value them, and I'm like,
Hmm.
here's my thing when it comes to that. Um, I've worked as customer service. I've done paralegal work,
Hmm.
whatever. And I'll use a customer service as an example. So when I'm sitting at a call center, for example, not
Yeah.
telemarketing, call centers, incoming calls.
I just want to make that clear.
Listen, that wasn't me. That wasn't me that called you during your dinner time. Um,
Okay.
but
Thank you.
but
Do you know
sitting
my
there,
story about telemarketers, by the way? We'll
no, I
segue back
don't.
into it. Okay. Well,
Okay.
remind me afterwards. Okay.
So I'm sitting there in this customer service call center, whatnot, and and then I'm realizing I'm there a lot longer than what I anticipate it being. I
Yeah.
get used to the consistency of the paycheck and the health insurance that they provide. And then they're telling me like, we want you to expand and grow within our company. We value you. And so now I'm thinking, I'm
Money
developing,
or art.
right, and I'm developing a friendship with a company that I'm not
Mm-hmm.
happy with fully,
Right.
but it's kind of helping me out pay the bills, get my insurance, see the doctors, you know, all that stuff. And then I hear the word value coming out of my own mouth, and it's not value, because the thing is I can get fired at any time
Yeah.
and I can quit at any time. The value that we set for people should be based on work. That it's a different type of value. And I think people kind of mix it and think, okay, people on set value me. All of a sudden, we're besties now. We're soul sisters or whatever it is
And it
because they
gets
value me
so
on.
blurry.
It does.
It
It
gets so
does.
blurry, and it's like I do love my friends, and
Mhm.
because they filmmaking, you become a family. You like it's
Mhm.
you just you can't not become a
Mhm.
family. It's such a
I
collaborative art.
love my
Yeah,
family filmmakers that I have right now in my company. Love them. I wouldn't change them for the world.
exactly. But it's also like business and
Mhm.
commerce. You know what I mean? And I think that's like where, like, in my brain, like I'm a very big like vision boarder, intention setter, whatever, 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 right? Like
Mhm.
I want to know how to make the money. I want to know
Right.
how to get things funded. I want to
Mhm.
know what the pieces are where I can get the stories that I want to tell with the people that I want to work with
Mhm.
funded so that everybody gets paid. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like in
Mhm.
a way that people feel good about themselves and they don't feel like they are being devalued or like
Right.
coming in like, oh, okay, I'm just doing this as a favor. Like I want everybody to feel really good
Mhm.
about their work. And I haven't figured that out yet.
Well, we can
I
talk afterwards about that,
Okay, cool.
on what I
Uh,
learned. But go on.
cool. I would love that. Right now, I am, I'm doing assisting work for a producer that is a badass. Like she's been in the business for like 35 years and
Okay.
like she
Wow.
creates, yeah, I know, and she's like shepherded over like 100+ independent feature films. So I'm
Wow.
just learning everything that I can from her because I want to take how she does her work and how she puts deals together and figure it out for myself for my own project. I don't know how to do that yet, but I'm learning. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
it's like the finances. That's what I want to learn.
Right.
How she does the finances and the distribution and like investing and all that stuff. So I'm learning as much as I can from her, and she's been like a really great mentor so far.
That's amazing. That's good,
Yeah.
and that's good that you have that because not a lot of people have that, and
Mm-mm.
we go in blind. There's people that go to film school and you only learn so much, and then they
Yeah.
let you go and be like, go
And
figure
it's
it
like,
out.
what do you
What do
do?
you, you know?
Exactly.
And it's way different. Like the real life experience is so much different than film school experience. And not that
Yeah.
everyone goes to film school, but I'm saying anyone that does go to film school, use that time wisely. And what I mean by that is, don't just I've seen people, excuse the language, dick around with it, kind of
Oh,
like
totally.
I'm just gonna film stuff with my friends and make it fun,
That's
and
fine.
it's an assignment. And anything that I did when I was in film school, I still use today where I'm pitching it. Like, here's my idea for
Dang.
a TV show. So it's kind of like, that's what you should do because you're not going to get the same resources. You're not going to be
Right.
able to get people to work for free. You
Right.
shouldn't, like, I
Right.
think the free stuff ends at film school. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's difficult because I get it. Like if you have
Yeah.
close friends that you trust, you collaborate that way.
Yeah.
But when you're asking people that don't know
That are
you and
strangers?
the
No.
strangers, that's a little different. That's when
Yeah.
you're not in school
That's when
anymore.
you're like taking advantage of people a little bit. Like
Hmm.
I get like friends, you know what I mean? Like friends that I create stuff with. We'll be like, hey, let's like shoot this. This will be really really
Right.
fun. But yeah, like if I'm asking somebody that I don't know to give up their time and their day for me, no, I need to pay that person. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like that's just gross.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
Well, that's why I'm like, I'm so happy with the people that I have now in
Hmm.
my life and in my production company, because it's like I had to transform things around because I learned what to trust, who to trust,
Yeah.
and how to deal with things instead of being told and then told in a demeaning way. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, like I get it now. And the
Yeah.
thing is like everything that I was working for and working towards, that didn't stop. That hasn't changed. Now I have a different set of people that see what I was trying to do, and now we've actually got things going. We actually have the support and people in distribution talking to us, and investors talking to us. So it's really interesting when you start moving pieces around and realizing when you step away from it, like, oh,
yeah,
got it, you know?
You know, the thing that I've learned, like, in coming to LA, so I've only been here, like, I'm like 3-4 years or whatever. Yeah, about 4 years, is that, you know, there are going to be people that waste your time and your energy, and you got to believe who they are when they show it to you, and it's okay if they leave your life. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
Because that energy that they were using kind of like keeps you in stuck mode. You know what I mean? And also, not to be a shitty person or anything like that, but I started having like a no asshole rule, where it's like, you know what I mean? Like, my life is too short to have assholes in my life, and if you are going to waste your time and just talk about stuff and waste that time, you know, I gotta like kind of move this way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be mean about that, but it's also like you get a lot of people that talk about stuff, but they don't actually take the steps to actually do it. You know what I mean? Especially because we're in like a land of dreams, and like that little carrot is held out in front of us, but not a lot of people are actually wanting to do the work. You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, exactly. You hit it right there on the nose. It's so true, and you have to find when to move on.
Yeah.
That's it. You hit it right there. You have to find when to move on, because then you grow.
Yes.
Hopefully they grow. I don't know. Who cares? But you grow.
I'm still like the it makes me sad. You know? I'm still in that stage, but yeah, it's like I'm learning to cut it off. I am learning, but it's hard. It's really hard.
Well, that's my thing. Is like I've always been that person that burns bridges, always, and it's one of those things that has been used as an example where I have a wall already as it is. I built that wall, and it's
Me too.
I'm really really selective as who I let enter that wall. And then once something is done, it's kind of like I can be so nice. I can be a doormat for so long, and I can be kind for so long. But then after a while, it's kind of like you got to go. And then I make sure that bridge is incinerated, that there's no way of rebuilding it. Like, that's it. And it's therapeutic for me, but at the same time, I want to say that there's a mourning stage. People don't understand that, like, when doesn't matter how shitty the person was or how amazing the person was, you're gonna mourn that person. Even if they're still alive.
The time and effort that you put into that relationship, you know, like.
And the more time there is that passes, the more you get used to moving on and living life without this person. You know, and it's like, you know, you don't want to see this person again, because all of a sudden it's a zombie. That's scary as shit. You know, it's like you don't want to see a zombie come to you. But that's just an example. I think people, hopefully, you know, what we get from this is just growth, and being able to be the creative selves that we are meant to be on this planet, you know, and using it for good, and provide good, healthy messages, whatever the message may be. You know what I mean? Like,
whether it's cathartic, because the things that I like tend to be kind of violent, you know?
Right. But there's something there, though, still.
There totally is. You know, I'm super excited for that. What is that? There's a movie with Carrie something that's going to be coming out that is kind of like Me Too movement. I think it's called, gosh, what is it called? I don't remember what it's called. Darn
Is it where she goes, like, she goes
to the bars, and then she pretends. I am so really wanting to see that movie. Like, that is so, like, I'm super excited. I was, you know, I hope they release it on Netflix soon as a premium release, because I will totally buy that right now. You know? I forgot. I totally derailed that conversation, but do no harm and take no shit. That's
exactly. Yeah. Quickly, what's a telemarketer story? The telemarketing story.
Okay. So I actually have a very fond place in my heart for telemarketers.
Okay,
just because I don't know if you know this about me. Maybe you do. So I used to be in a cult when I was younger, and I was living in the mountains and learning survival skills. And I used to talk to telemarketers all the time, because they were my only, like, people that I would talk to from the outside world.
Okay.
So one telemarketer was like, you have a very interesting voice. You should get into voiceovers. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. So from that telemarketer's call, I looked up what voiceovers was. I sent a really stupid recording to the first voiceover agency that I found in San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
And that's how I got into acting.
Wow.
So I have a soft spot in my heart for telemarketers.
No, that's,
I still won't
I'm
answer
not
the
gonna-
calls today, but
my thing is, I think I'm more upset. It's not the telemarketers because it's a job. I think
Yeah.
I'm more annoyed with bill collectors.
Oh, yeah.
And it's their job too, but when a bill collector takes it to the point where they take it personal,
Oh,
where they're
totally.
going off on me, and I'm like, wait, do I owe you money or do I owe the company that's
and they
paying
start
you
making
money?
character judgments because they're getting that commission.
Yes.
Yeah,
We
I
get-
know.
we're
I
there.
know.
We get it.
I know.
We get it.
I get
We
it. I get it.
We
I feel you. I feel you on that.
Those are the ones that get annoyed. Those, and then scam calls, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, scam. I don't know if anyone's following Rosie. I think it's IRL Rosie. I think it is.
Okay.
She's someone that I interviewed a couple of times on the podcast that I normally have, which will be coming back, and you need to come on that podcast when
Okay.
it's back up.
I'm down. I'm down.
Sweet.
Down.
She does that where she calls scammers and scams them back, and she records it on YouTube, and she does this whole thing, and she's a voiceover actress.
Okay.
So she's able to change her voice. Like, she can sound like a Kardashian in a heartbeat. Any single one of the Kardashians, you ask her and she can sound like them.
Oh my gosh.
She could sound like pretty much, there's different characters that she does. Some are original, some that you close your eyes and you think you're talking to that person, like Britney Spears. Is that you? You know,
So she's
it's
like a really great sound-alike. She can do character impressions.
Yes,
That is
yeah,
dope.
yeah.
That's amazing.
And she's so good at it, and she does that. So she makes this video. She's got this content on YouTube where she records her calling the scammers, and sometimes she'll use those voices. So it's like fun to watch. But
Yeah.
it's also like, yeah, because she's sticking it to them, you know.
Totally.
So I mean, not to, but those are the people that I get upset. Like, a couple of jobs I've worked, honestly, was telemarketing jobs, just because I needed to make a quick
You know,
buck.
money. Yeah.
I needed the money,
I
and
get
it's
it.
kind of like, who doesn't want a timeshare?
Yeah.
But it's like, I didn't make much money because I couldn't sell. I'm not a salesperson when it comes to that. So I would have been that person talking to you and being like, cool, like, keep me on the phone.
I know,
because
and I would have been like, hi, friend.
I don't want to
How
call
was
the
your
next person. But it's like, and it's weird because, like, people don't know that there's very few people that are professional telemarketers because they are good at it.
And they're
then there's
salespeople.
Yeah, and then there's those that are in the revolving door of it because they just can't do it. They just want to stay on the phone because the longer they stay on the phone, that means they don't have to call and bother someone else. So we start doing that whole befriending people because I don't want to call the next person.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you're cool and you're not rude with me, then I'll be sitting there for a minute and talking to you like, yeah, tell me, what is it like? Like, you know, it's weird. It's interesting. You need to make a movie though. It sounds like about
You know
what
what's
you
funny?
dealt with.
Yeah, there actually was a movie made about the beginning of my life story from the Philippine networks.
Okay.
But it was so bad. Like you think about like K-pop dramas and like
gosh.
Filipino telenovelas.
Okay.
That is where it went. I mean, the interesting
They have
thing
an
was-
audience.
Yeah, there was definitely an audience for it when it happened. It was like 87% of the Philippines was tuned in to that story because it's so crazy. It's ridiculous. Like my life is ridiculous. And Rufa Mae Quinto, who was at the time number 14 on FHM's Asia hot list or whatever that is, played me, and she's like, you know, super haughty, and I'm like, no, that's weird. But
Stop.
also, no, and then like the lady that won the Cannes Best Actress of the Year in 2016, I think her name was Jacqueline Jose or Rose. She played my mom, and my mom is a character. You know what I mean? So like it like that actually happened.
What was this movie called, if you don't mind me asking?
It was
Or you don't
called-
want to put it out there?
I don't think that you'll be able to find it, honestly.
Okay.
Because I've tried. I'm asking my mom for like, Mom, can you find that? Like, because this happened 2004, I think. So it's like
Okay.
10, 15 years ago. And
Okay.
it's called Magpakailanman. So it was like a series in the Philippines. And it was called The Giovannie Pico Story, which used to be my married name at the time. I don't go by my married name anymore because obviously I'm not with that pedophile dude from the church that I got married to. They had
Mm.
me marry him. So there's some more of my story.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
But
like, wait, what?
yeah. No, so yeah, I was in a cult, and they married me off to one of the elders in the church when I was young. So yeah, yeah.
Wait, how old were you? I mean,
I
young
was
is still young, but
let's see, it
and
started.
don't and if you don't want to disclose anything, feel free. I don't
Okay,
want to bring anything up.
I'll just say teenager. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Here's the thing. My child is in college now. That's how long ago. Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to send you a virtual hug
Thank
because I
you.
can't. I'm so sorry you had to go
Social
through that. Yeah,
distancing,
social
Nani.
distance.
Social distancing.
Wow.
Accepting
What
the hug.
I gotta say, because you're amazing. Like your spirit is just
Thank you.
amazing for something to go through something like that. And I'm I wouldn't know. I
Thank
wouldn't know
you.
if you didn't say anything. And I think that's amazing. Are you an advocate for it now, or do you
You
just
know
is it
what?
still something that you rather just if it comes
I'm
up you
I'm
help?
honestly trying to be a little bit more open with it, especially in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the Me Too stuff came out, like it was cathartic for me, right?
Mm.
And when I was going through all that stuff, my biggest thing or the phrase that I would always have in my head was, but the great thing is, and I think that that saved me because
Mm-hmm.
whatever was happening, I was like, but the great thing is this, and it helped flip my brain around.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got out of it, so what happened is that part of the telemarketing call, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I was in the wilderness talking to the telemarketers, learning survival skills with this guy that I will not be named, with my child. And he had quit his job because he thought that I wasn't a good enough mom, and we were getting ready for the second coming of Jesus. Right.
Okay.
So so, uh, like, listen to this telemarketer, right? I looked up on the
Mm-hmm.
internet what voiceovers was because he was not working, and I was like, well, let me just look it up. I sent a really stupid tape to like recording to Stars Agency in San Francisco. They called me in. I auditioned for the agency. They signed me that day. They sent me on my first audition for a video game. I booked it and I worked that day. So I was like, oh my God, message from God, that saved me. We have money for this. And oh my God, this is more money than I've ever made,
Wow.
ever. So I took that as a sign from God. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer in the cult, by the way. And
Right.
then
Okay.
I started being like, oh shit, I need to get good at this. So I started to take an acting class that my agency recommended.
Okay.
And throughout that class, like, and this is like, I'm condensing like the time, so this is like a long period of time.
Okay.
Throughout that class, like, I used to be a super wallflower, not talk to anybody, and I still kind of am that way a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But people would start to question why I had to be outside of the class at the moment the class ended, otherwise I get in trouble, because it was like an abusive relationship, but I didn't know that.
Mm. Okay.
And then my one of the friends in my class gave me a pamphlet that said "Free yourself from abusive relationships," and I was like, I had to hide it, and I checked off pretty much everything on there except for like four.
Okay.
And this is like a long period of time. Okay, so I'm like condensing it. And then I think the last straw was that my husband at the time had hit my kid with a belt for
Okay.
disciplining, and my kid was like one. So yeah, and I was like, I need to get out of this. And
Okay.
when I did get out, I took my kid, and he was in the shower, and I just left. And we tried to reconcile, but I threw myself into like programs that dealt with domestic violence because I wanted to learn what it was that I didn't know. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because when you're
Mm-hmm.
in that relationship, you have no idea that you're
Right.
in it because
Right.
you don't have like a model of a healthy relationship to go by.
Right.
So, oh my gosh, did I answer your question? I forgot.
No, you
I think
you, you
I
have
got
been. Yeah.
sidetracked.
No, you're good. This is
Yeah.
all. it's intense, because I wouldn't think or assume anything like that. And I think in part, I mean, yes, that's good, but I think in part where I can't stand people that don't believe things. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I want to bring this up, and this is a different subject.
Yeah.
The whole Joe Biden thing, for example. I'm floored that people are downgrading this woman coming forward, and it's not the first time she came forward, and she's come forward before. And I've had a
Yeah.
conversation recently where someone's saying, like, well, she changed her story. I don't think people understand that the story doesn't change. It's only how much they're ready to tell of the story.
Yeah, and also like those the that time is freaking traumatic. You know what I mean? Like it's not you're not going to remember every single detail that happened all the time. You know what I mean? And to use that as a weapon against women who are brave enough to come forward is fucked up
Yeah.
beyond
It's
belief.
one of those things, like, they don't understand it. They just don't understand.
Yeah.
People don't understand it because they don't know more of it. And I think
Yeah.
that a lot of the things in our legal system, like, for example, because I'm a paralegal, and this is a lot of things that I learned how to use. Basically, is if someone is the go-to excuse for it is, what was this person wearing?
Yeah, that's
Were
fucked
they
up.
intoxicated?
Yeah.
Did
It's
they
super
leave them
victim
on?
blaming.
You know,
No.
and that's it's a strategy, because in the court you have to look at it as a fucked up game, but people don't realize that the
Yeah.
people's lives are involved.
And it re-traumatizes the victim over and over again. So here's some more stuff in my fucking past that sorry, I'm totally cursing. I'm
You're
sorry. I'm
fine.
sorry.
Just
I'm
fucking
so
do it.
sorry.
Just fucking do it.
So super meaningful to me because part of the reason why I joined the cult is because my stepfather was abusive when I was
Okay.
younger. And when I told my mom, same thing. Excuses were, she seduced me. I was 11. It started in second grade, and it only came out when I was like sixth or seventh grade. You know, and then so the excuse is that she seduced me at fucking 11. And like the details weren't there, right? Because it's happened over a span of time. And then also just because somebody is not convicted in the legal system doesn't mean that it didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Louder for the ones in the back that can't fucking understand that.
Just
That's
because someone wasn't convicted in the legal system doesn't mean that it didn't happen.
Thank you. It's something that needs to be said. I mean,
Yeah.
it's weird because there's a small percentage of people in the legal field that would get convicted. It's a very small, very
Such
rare,
a small percentage.
that are innocent. Brian Banks is a great example of that, where he was accused of rape in high school, and all his chances were ruined and everything, and he served 5 years in prison, I think, and he was a teenager, and then he came out a man, and he lost a lot of opportunities for going professional football. And then it wasn't until he got out that it was new to him. He was on there, looked it up, and then the woman that accused him, the girl that accused him in high school, sent him a message apologizing for it. She needed the money. She got like 1.5 million for accusing him from the city of Long Beach. So she won this major case. He got in car, so she apologized, and he's like, "Get you to apologize," and like in recording, like, I need to do this for myself. She didn't think much of what would happen to her, so she was like, "Yeah, I feel bad. I'm guilty of this. Like, let me help you out." So he was able to go through with the California Innocence Project, and it took a long time, I think over a year, for them to go through this case to arrest at this point, and they finally got him exonerated. But
You can't
can't
take that
get
5 years back or the opportunities back. That is just as messed up. You know what I mean? Like
But that's what I'm
because
saying.
that,
It
yeah,
exists.
yeah, it does exist.
I acknowledge the fact that it does exist. I went through my own shit. It does exist. Innocent people are incarcerated. That
Yeah,
does happen. But the percentage of that to those that get freed for whatever reason doesn't, like what you said, doesn't mean that they commit the crime. And this happens far
right.
more than people that are
So
innocent.
often. So often,
I'm
and like
shocked
people don't
with Harvey
come
Weinstein.
out.
Yeah, exactly. I was shocked with Harvey Weinstein that the fact, because it was one of those things where we weren't sure what was going to happen with Harvey Weinstein, because
Yeah.
he's so powerful. He has all these connections, even though he fell from that. That was a major fall for him. And I'm hoping that that causes a ripple effect so large that more people in that power that abuse
Yeah.
their power start falling too.
Yeah.
It's there's got to be a major change in all industries, not just
And
in the entertainment
hopefully
industry.
it gives more people in those positions of power pause before they do stupid shit like that, like
Mm-hmm.
where they're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this because maybe I'll, be something like that will happen to me because we hadn't seen that before. Like all
Mm-hmm.
these guys were just like getting off pretty much scot-free or fucking 3 months for, you know,
Brock, that was yeah,
yeah, that was
yeah,
ridiculous. So hopefully, that does cause a change where it becomes a safer work environment for women in the film industry or just, women in
in
general
general.
because,
Yep.
it happens in, like in restaurants, in
Mm-hmm.
everything, just everywhere where,
Everywhere.
yeah,
It
people
happens
with positions of
everywhere.
power like abuse it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a sad truth. Let me ask you this: how are you managing? Did you self quarantine or did you wait for the lockdowns to start?
No, I am super neurotic. I don't know if you can tell. And when all of this stuff happened, like my PTSD from all the cult stuff was flaring up. So
Mm-hmm.
I had like a lot of already anxiety about, oh my God, it's the end of the world, it's apocalypse. They were right. The church was right. Like that stuff was going through my head. So definitely self
Oh
isolated and self
no.
quarantined
Oh.
before it was recommended to do so. I'm also a big like kind of not I'm not really a data freak, but I was watching
Mm-hmm.
what was happening in China first because things happen in patterns, right? And then watching what happened
Mm-hmm.
to Italy and like seeing their numbers go up and I was like, "Oh shit, we are 12 days from that. Like we need to get our
Mm-hmm.
shit together now." You know what I mean? So I was already
Mm-hmm.
like watching those charts and being like, "No, we need to stay inside and do as much as possible to, stave off it's because it's not about me because I'm
Right.
probably going to be fine, but I
Mm-hmm.
have people that I care about that are in that demographic of the people that, could be affected by this virus
Mm-hmm.
that we don't know how we know it, we don't even know, like, even though the WHO says like it's transmitted like this way on countertops or whatever, or
Right.
possibly by, people coughing and wheezing, we don't know that for
We don't
sure.
know.
Like
Yeah.
I saw something,
Yeah.
yeah, in Washington where they held a choir rehearsal and they had hand sanitizers, they stayed a distance apart from each other, and still like 17 people got it and 2 people died from a choir rehearsal where they took all the precautions. And that just came out, I
That's
just
the
saw that
thing is
this
like
morning, and
it's scary. There's no way of
yeah,
knowing
it's
how this is all happening. There's
we don't
no
know.
way. And we don't. I went what was it called, to run errands. I
Hmm.
put on the gloves. I had the mask, and I went to do a couple of things that I needed to do that we were missing. I take care of my
Yeah.
parents, so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go get this stuff. I went to do it. Came back later that evening, and this is why we didn't have our interview when we were supposed to. I went to bed, and then I felt the shortness of breath. I literally, it freaked me out, and I was like, what's
Yeah.
happening? It came like that. And not
Yeah.
that I have it or had it,
Yeah.
whatever this was, it's passed, but it took me a minute. And then I started the coughing, the dry cough, but I felt like vomiting because I felt like I was gagging.
And
Like
you're like, oh no, nauseousness.
yeah, I
I'm
started freaking myself out.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, because you're WebMDing this shit, and you're like, well, you're like
totally.
crossing them off, like I got this. Oh my god, and I'm
Yeah,
looking
like
up where to get tested.
if I like do like little like physical stuff and then my temperature elevates, I'm like, oh my God, I have a
Yeah,
fever.
see,
It gets
we're
so stupid like that.
I
Like,
feel for people that are hypochondriacs because I'm pretty sure this is freaking them out
I'm sure.
big time.
I'm sure.
So whatever it was that I got, it lasted 2 days, and then that was it. But I've had a headache almost every day, and I've been
I'm
careful
sorry.
about that. It's okay. The thing is, like, I lessened my caffeine intake because of of what I have at home, what's essential. Like before, I used
Yeah.
to have a Coke a day just to, not get a migraine. I don't do that anymore because it's not essential to me. Like
Yeah.
water's more important.
Caffeine headache, probably.
I think it
Like,
is. I
yes.
honestly, I honestly think it is. But the point is like I panicked. I went into panic mode,
Yeah.
and then I started drinking hot teas. I started doing all this
Oh, I'm doing that all the
self-medicated.
time. I'm
Oh
doing
my
that all the
gosh,
time. I'm doing that all the time. Hot tea all the
it's
time.
my thing now. I literally put the bottom of the cup with some honey, put a little bit of lemon, and then I put mint tea and regular tea. 2 bags. I'm doing my own medicine bowl from freaking Starbucks at home.
You don't even know. You don't even know. I have like garlic and onion, going, like all this stuff,
Seriously.
like
You're just
green
in there.
drinks.
You're
Yeah,
you're making some concoctions of stuff. You're just like brewing things over.
totally. I'm
Just
like,
like
I'm already there.
you know. But it's like one of those things. Like we start panicking, and
Hmm.
the more we're online, the more we're reading stories, the more we're seeing videos, the more we're freaking our. I'm trying to distract myself, watching shows, reading books, writing
Me
more,
too. Me
doing
too.
this, doing
Yeah.
this. Because it helps. It helps
Yeah.
with the daily stuff. Trying to figure out what day it is.
Oh
This
gosh, that's a
helps.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
Like one thing that I did, that I do kind of ascribe to a little bit is they say that it takes 7 positives to counteract a negative. So if you, have like a negative, whatever it is, like interaction with somebody, you have to do like 7 positive things to kind of like just neutralize that. And
Mm-hmm.
right now, our news cycle is so filled with fear because that's what sells. So
Mm-hmm.
I do think that that's very smart. And like, if you're gonna because I don't want to put my head in the sand. You know what I mean? Like I want to be informed
Right.
as well. But
Right.
if I am gonna do that, let me freaking binge watch The Office. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Love The
Like,
Office.
you know
That's
what
what
I
I've been
mean?
binge watching.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's what
because
I
it
like.
takes you
I
away from
didn't
it.
know about the exactly. And I think that, I'm again with the patterns in a pandemic like this, I think there's definitely going to be a need for stories of hope and of
Mm-hmm.
inspiration right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because if
Mm-hmm.
you look at like historically, like in times of like plenty, if you want to go for like the really dark shit, and then
Right.
like when things are like shitty outside and the world is like falling to pieces, we need those stories of hope to keep us going. So like, this is probably not right, so don't quote me on this, but like
Okay.
during like the Great Depression or whatever it was, like The Wizard of Oz was like the best movie ever because it was like happy. I don't
Something
know.
like
I have no
that.
idea.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something
Something
like
along
that.
those lines.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but something along those lines.
But it
Don't quote me
helps.
on that.
No, it helps. But honestly, right now, being creative, doing creative things, watching creative, like people don't now shouldn't realize how much we appreciate the arts.
Yes.
Whether it's
Oh,
music,
totally. Yeah.
whether it's like just releasing yourself in painting, photography, whatever, or whether it is watching a shit ton of movie. Like I thought I was a big couch potato. I am the biggest couch potato now. Like, and I'm trying to, kind of find a balance,
Yeah, me
but
too.
it's just like as
Be
soon as I
gentle with
switch off,
yourself. We just started this pandemic. We will find our
exactly,
way. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like
So
I saw
let me
this
ask
quote.
you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
No.
I was gonna say I was gonna ask you what recommendations do you have for shows, books, whatever recommendations you have.
Okay. Just for my life stuff and for my mental health, what started me on like kind of like turning my brain positively, Manifest Your Destiny by Wayne Dyer. And
Okay.
I am rereading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I know this is so super like woo woo ridiculous stuff,
No, no, that's
but
good.
like it helps me because like right now where I am, I'm talking to you, we're having a great conversation. I'm safe in my home. I do have enough food in my fridge. The people that I love are safe at this moment.
Mhm.
And this
Mhm.
moment is the only moment that I can control.
Mhm.
I can't think too far in the future because
Right.
that will freak me out, and
Yep.
I can't do that. So, those have kind of been helping me brain wise. I'm probably
Mhm.
going to start rereading The Artist's Way and like doing the morning pages again. I don't know.
Okay.
But
Okay.
those are books that I recommend. Two
Okay.
TV shows. I'm going to do a plug here.
All
So
right.
obviously, Dyke Central on Amazon because that
Okay.
is the series that I'm on, and I'm really proud of that series, honestly. We
Okay.
made it in 2015, and this is before like, you know, before like a lot of the, you know, I want to say before a lot of and I hope I don't get in trouble. It was hip to be uh, gender expansive. You know,
Okay.
like we did this way before then when it wasn't like,
Uh,
because it's our community. You know what I mean?
like like now you see it
Now you
more
see it more.
shows and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Okay. So because
So
so before it was more accepting.
yes, exactly.
Not that I don't accept it, but the other
The
people,
Yeah,
you know what
before
I
the
mean?
industry thought it was hot. You
Right.
know,
I get what you're
like,
saying.
you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing right now. I think it's totally great.
Mhm.
But we did that at a time when it wasn't quite accepted, you know, and the
Mhm.
fact that we had trans people playing real trans people, you know, was
Mhm.
super, you know, important. The fact that
Wow.
we had,
Okay.
people that were genderqueer in our series that made no apologies for it. It wasn't their coming out story. They were just like fucking living their lives. You know, like I'm
Right.
so proud of that.
What's the name of
Um,
the show again?
it's called Dyke Central.
Okay,
It's
and that's
on
on Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah. And
Okay.
like the big thing is like, okay, so like the pilot was kind of like get to episode 2 and beyond, okay?
Mhm.
Because the pilot, of course, we're trying to like raise funds for the film. I think it's still a good pilot, but the
Okay.
quality of the pilot is not as good as like episodes 2 to 10. So
Okay.
just putting that out there, but it's still a really
Okay.
great series. So,
Okay.
you know, gotta say that. I also like chewing gum. I like Glow season 2. Uh,
Okay.
and then my friend Florencia, who is the showrunner for Dyke Central, recommended Feel Good, which I haven't started yet. So those are
I
my
saw that was a recommendation last chat that I had, and I watched it, and it's a great show. I
okay.
watched the whole season, and I was just like, oh, that's it. I wanted to see more.
Really?
It's one
That's
season. It's
always
one
okay.
season.
Okay, I will
Yeah.
check it
So
out then.
I didn't even realize that I watched the whole season in one sitting. And it was
That's a
because I couldn't
good.
get away. I was just like, this is good. This is good. Like, I did enjoy it. So that's a good recommendation. That's a good
Okay, good.
recommendation.
Okay, yeah.
I'll
So
check it out.
Florencia is the creator of Dyke Central. So if she
Okay.
recommended it too, then she probably have like same, tastes and things, which is
Right.
great.
That's awesome.
But
Okay.
yeah, movies. I can't find this on streaming, but one of my favorite movies is
Okay.
Angela by Luc Besson. It's a black and white film that he did.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and then Birds of Prey because I love freaking popcorn flicks
Right.
and women being badasses.
Yeah. That was a good one. I saw that one in the theaters when it was out in the
I did
theater.
too. I did
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I
That
like.
was
I
a
had
good
to
one.
see it. I had to see it. I had so much fun with it. Like
Yeah.
I don't care what people say about it. I liked it a lot.
I
So
enjoyed it. Yeah. Yeah. I
you
definitely
know.
did enjoy it. Well, let me say, we're going to wrap it up here. I
Okay.
do
Cool.
want to
Cool.
thank you for chatting with me. I would like to
Yeah.
chat some more because I feel like we have so much more to say. And
Okay.
then when
Cool.
the podcast is, when we're back up and live, out and about, I want to invite you to the podcast. It's at LA
Okay.
Talk Radio. This will be on YouTube. I'll send you a link so you can share it. And then,
Cool.
yeah.
Can I plug 2 more things? Is that cool?
Please do. Yes.
Okay, so I teach kids and teens, HollywoodActorsWorkshop.com. I teach online. I've been teaching online for the last year, so that's awesome. My
Great.
kids are really successful. I have an Emmy nominee as part of my alumni. So William Lipton on General Hospital, who plays Cameron, is one of my students.
Nice.
The Espina sisters, who hosted DreamWorks Life Hacks for Kids, used to be my students.
Wow. Okay.
And I was there with them during that process, so that was really fun. The girl, Marissa Abaya, I want to get her stage name straight because I know her real name,
Okay.
who hosts Let's Make Star Wars for Lucasfilms, is also
Okay.
part of my students. And yeah, so I teach kids and teens. Hit
That's
me up
awesome.
for that.
What's the website again?
Sorry. HollywoodActorsWorkshop.com. So I teach kids, teens, and young adults. And if any adults that are newer to the industry, I am totally willing to teach them. But usually adults don't trust this face because they're like, you look too freaking young. So, and they want someone to beat them up because they're artists.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah. And then Derailed, which is like a monster movie that I was in, is on Amazon too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. We'll check it out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, stay safe. Anything else you want to say before we go?
Yeah, wash your hands for 20 seconds and don't touch your face and flatten the freaking curve.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Bye.